Hello everybody, Vicky Messy Stitcher here. Nice to see you. This is my first video for absolutely months and I'm so sorry about that. As usual, life's got in the way and I keep meaning to make videos, and then when I do it's always on a really bad day and other stuff's going on. Today I look a bit of a state because we've been decorating. So actually I just thought if I take too long waiting to get ready and make myself look presentable and everything else, this video is really never going to happen. So I thought I'd get on and do it. So really glad to be back. Thank you in the meantime for all the subscribes, comments, watches that I've had. I really do appreciate it. I've been kind of keeping an eye every now and then on things, and I'm really happy that I think now I've got over 1,000 subscribers, which is really good. I am thinking, and again it'll probably be such a delayed reaction because by the time we get round to actually sorting anything out it'll probably be a few months from now, knowing me, but I would like to do something to mark the fact that I got to 1,000 subscribers. So I'm going to think about maybe if there's a kit or some stuff in my stash that I can give away, just to say a thank you to sort of a lucky winner really. So I'll have a think about that, and when I've decided I'll post a video and we can kind of do a little mini competition thing, which will be good. The good news about me constantly taking months and months to update you on anything is that when I do come back I usually have quite a lot to say. I've got a lot of stash to go through, so just to let you know where I am. So I'm going to show you some stash that I've got, give you a quick life update. I will be honest and say that I have slightly neglected cross stitching the last couple of months because I've been learning crochet, so I'm not sure how interested you'll be in crochet stuff, but I do have a couple of things just to show you what I've been up to. I've got some books and magazines that I've got that I thought would be good to flick through, and I'm going to do the last half of the Flosstube community tag that has been going around since November-December time, which I'm so late in the day on. To do with reviewing the year. I'm going to do the last half because the first half is stuff about exact whips and start dates and finish dates and things that, because I'm so disorganised, I don't actually record or I can't think about very easily. So I'm going to do the more kind of thoughtful question part at the end rather than the facts and figures of what I've done this year, if that's okay with you. Great, so let's make a start. So what is new with me? Well, loads is new with me, to be honest. Part of the reason why I didn't post, without going into too much detail, is there's been a bit of a tough time happening the last couple of months. So I've just been taking care of some family stuff that I needed to attend to, so it's kind of been, wouldn't have been a very good time around Christmas time to post. I did have a nice Christmas, but kind of January after that was a bit messy with a few things, so I'm fine now, everything's kind of okay, but I needed a couple of months just to kind of get my life back on track really. Good news is I've got a new job. I'm really happy about that. I've been working at the charity I've been working for about 6 years now, and it's just time for a change. It's time to try something else. So I'm moving on to a new job in a few weeks' time, so I'm a bit kind of frightened and panicky about the whole making friends and being new again thing after so long, but I also have this really strong gut feeling that it's the kind of right time for me, and I feel kind of quite satisfied with that. So yeah, so I've been really busy. There's been lots of family stuff. Lots of my time has been taken up looking for work, to be honest, and all the energy that you put into job applications, and I didn't even make that many job applications, but the just sheer amount of energy it takes to do stuff like that. My health, I mean nothing serious by any means, but I've just been feeling really worn out recently. As some of you know, I have premature menopause and I'm on hormone replacement therapy, which normally takes care of everything, but I caught a really nasty bug a few weeks ago, which has wiped me out for a couple of weeks. It was a really horrible coughy, coldy, but much more than that thing that I caught that just really wiped me out. And sometimes what happens is some of the symptoms I get anyway, like fatigue and nausea and stuff, get worse if I'm already ill, and I was quite stressed out with work and looking for work and everything. So I kind of feel like ever since Christmas finished, there's not been any time to stop and just take stock and pause, and then March and April are really busy as well. So I kind of feel like I could easily get halfway through the year before I actually stop and get some quiet time. So I've got to kind of reevaluate stuff at the moment and think about whether I can get some quiet time in, because I'm kind of an introvert, and it's important to me to spend quite a lot of time on my own and doing things I enjoy, like craft, and lately it's just not been possible because I've been so busy. So I'd really like to try and redress the balance a bit, and I've found myself losing my stitchy bug, partly as a natural thing because crochet is a bit of a novelty at the moment and I've been doing that, but also because I just feel very kind of drained all the time at the moment. So what I'd like to do is really focus this year on doing some fresh new projects and not giving myself, I always like to stitch for other people, but I'd like to really not give myself too many deadlines and just think, okay, but if I get this done for a Christmas present, fantastic. If I don't, it will roll over to next year, and at some point when it's ready to, I'll give it to somebody else, but we'll see. But one really exciting thing, and hopefully I'll get the chance to show you next time, and it will become my new Flosstube room, is that our very small spare bedroom next door, that's what we're decorating. It's the first room we've decorated in this house, even though it's been here just over a year, and that is going to be my craft room. So it's going to be a craft room come spare bedroom, so it's kind of a bit of a crossover, and there's not much floor space, so it's pretty much just going to have a lamp, a sofa bed, a little table to do, you know, crafting with or whatever, but it's just going to be a nice space. If my mum comes over, we can sit and do stuff together. So I'm looking forward to being able to show that off next time I see you, and see what you think. I've never thought I'd be happy or lucky enough to have a craft room, but as it happens, we've got this spare room. We haven't really used it for anything much, and I sort of thought, well, actually I'm going to claim that as mine for now until we need it for anything else. So yeah, no, so that's a really good update. I'll get the crochet stuff out of the way now, because I know that some people watching will be thinking, oh, you know, I really don't want to see loads of crochet, so I will whiz through it. I won't spend too long on it. So just a couple of things. If anybody is more interested in my crochet, let me know, but otherwise I'm just going to show you as a side thing, so bear with me. So you may, sorry, I'm in a complete mess here trying to get my stuff. So those of you who do crochet will probably have heard, or maybe if you're UK based, I'm not sure about American floss tubers, but if you're UK based and you like crochet, you've probably heard of somebody called Attic24, which is a lady in Yorkshire that does a blog about crochet, and she basically makes up her own patterns, but she doesn't sell them. You can make a small donation through her website to help her, and she has a bit of a deal going with Wool Warehouse where you can buy packs of wool to support her projects. I'm sure there's some kind of arrangement there, but ultimately she just really enjoys doing it. She does some really good beginner friendly stuff, like blankets, so I've been using one of her patterns to kind of get used to crocheting the basics. So I won't bore you for too long, because this isn't what you're here for, but I am doing one of her blankets called, this is actually folded in half, otherwise it won't fit, but it's called the Cupcake Stripe Blanket. And there you go. So it's lots of, it doesn't show up as well on this camera, which is always annoying, but it's lots of kind of pastel-y shades, and this is going to be going in my craft room as a kind of throw on the sofa eventually. So it's nice to make something new for myself. So I've been learning, you know, some of the more basic stitches and kind of familiarising myself with them, which has been really nice. I've also started doing a crochet along on a blanket called the Dancing. It's a series of blankets made by a crochet blogger called, I think she's called Wink. It's a very sad story actually. She suffered with really severe depression, and she committed suicide a couple of years ago, or no, it might be a year ago or so now, and so a community of other crochet bloggers decided in her memory just to finish off the patterns and to kind of bring them out officially on her behalf, which is really nice. So I'm kind of doing the project firstly to obviously learn about new stitches, but also to kind of think about a cause that's important to me and important to my family. So the way it was a crochet along, it's you know, finished now, but this is just something that's helping me, because every month the idea is that you would have done 4 squares of the same colour in the same pattern, and each one of those has kind of speciality stitch in it. So I've done the first set of 4, which is called this kind of like wheat design, and they're popcorn stitches. And the series comes in, so the same blanket comes in 3 different colourways called Dancing Under the Stars, completely stars, beach, and something else. They're basically different colourways, and I actually found a blogger that adapted the colourway to more pastel-y thing. So this is my kind of attempt at one of the squares, but the tension's all over the place, but it's just to show you what I've been working on and doing. So I've really enjoyed crochet. I'm still finding it a bit of a challenge and something that doesn't come really naturally to me at the moment. But I do enjoy, I suppose, the idea that you can get things done quite quickly. You see that kind of result of your work in a way that you don't always see with cross stitch. So it's been nice to kind of feel like I'm achieving something, but I also have been really aware that I haven't really done any stitching much over the last couple of months. So I'm really looking to kind of get back into cross stitch now, and you know, just kind of back to my main focus. But crochet's kind of started to become a bit of a side hobby as well. Really interested to know if any of you have kind of other, you know, what's your plan B hobby, you know, so if cross stitch is your favourite, what's your other hobby that you really enjoy? I've never been an all-rounder crafter. I'm very much a cross stitch, and it's only recently I tried to tackle crochet before and never really got the hang of it, and then slowly with my mum's help, I've kind of got the hang of some basic stuff, but I certainly had never really done it in any depth before. So it's been a really interesting journey actually. And just on the same kind of topic, wow, oh, sorry, 1 second, this is so bad, but I don't know how to edit my thing. Oh, here we go, sorry. So for those of you, I won't flick through it because obviously this is a Flosstube video, but for those of you that are interested, I got this book at Christmas called Crochet Therapy, and I haven't really done anything out of it yet, but it's a really interesting sort of concept, which is mixing mindfulness exercises with crochet projects. So when you read through it, there's about 20 projects, and there are kind of breathing exercises, mindfulness meditations, and things that you can do. And the whole idea is that the projects featured in the book are things that are likely to help you find calm and tranquility. And I think, as so many of us say, that kind of our crafting gives us an outlet for stress, I'd really recommend having a look at this book. It's, as I say, I haven't tried it yet, but I do get the feeling it's quite beginner friendly. There's certainly nothing in it so far that's made me think, oh my god, how would I do that? You know, I actually feel like I could probably achieve most of these projects. So just something to, you know, bear in mind if you're into crochet as well and you haven't seen it yet. So there you go. Oh, so I've also got a really, really bad headache at the moment. So I sort of feel like I'm slurring my speech a bit, but it's because I get migraines, and sometimes there's nothing I can really do. I just feel really kind of cloggy all here, and yeah, so I feel a bit out of it at the moment, so I'm sorry if I come across as a bit strange. Okay, so that was crochet. Oh, and the only other crochet thing to say is that my mum got me this set of hooks. They're by Drops. So it's these Drops Circus pack, and this is fantastic. I don't know how much it cost, obviously, because it was a present, although I know things like this are a bit pricey, but this has pretty much every single crochet hook size, kind of mainstream hook size in it, and my mum also got a few extra kind of chunky ones as well. So this has kind of set me up for the new hobby, which is really good. That's crochet, that's done. So I thought I would update you where I have been with whips, and I was actually looking through my stash and realising there's a lot of things that I probably would have been showing in videos before that I'm not going to call whips anymore, because to be perfectly honest with you, they're just not they're not whips anymore. They've taken so long and had such a gap in them that actually I'm not going to consider them whips anymore. I did have one finish, and forgive me if I've already shown this, but I don't think I have, because this was something I finished just before Christmas for a Christmas present. So bear with me, I'm going to show you. here we go. So remember that I was making the frosted pumpkin gingerbread village, I can't remember the name of it, design. I was probably doing it for a good year and a half on and off, and I finished it and I gave it to my cousin for her Christmas present. So you can't probably see that very well, but I finished. It was in a gold frame. I gave it to her on Christmas Day for a present. She really loved it, and it's really, she's obsessed with Christmas. It's actually still up in her house. Probably will be all year round knowing her. So yeah, so she really liked that. I did, in the end, I kind of got to a point where it was coming up to about a week before Christmas, and I actually had a really busy week at work that week. And I was starting to get into that zone, which I'm sure we all do, where I think, oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to finish this, and maybe I should kind of roll it over to her birthday. And I thought, no, I really want, it's such a lovely design, but I'd got so bored of it, which sounds really bad, but I just got so bored of doing it. I think sometimes when you're working on a project, particularly if it has a deadline, you just think, I can't work on this anymore. So there was one or two little things, like a couple of snowflakes or something that I missed off just because I needed to get it finished. And I kind of had to take an educated kind of guess at how long I had left to do it. So, but I didn't feel that it's particularly noticeable or anything that I missed. So yes, I'm really pleased I got that finished. I was really happy to have done that. So yeah, so that was a finish, that was an achievement. So I'm trying to think of the other finishes I've had this year. I know that I did the Lizzie Kate 100 Years From Now kit for my sister-in-law. I'm fairly sure there was one at the beginning of this year, but I'm trying to think now. But it's so few and far between I actually have a finish that I should probably make some kind of list of them. But again, messy stitcher, and I'm not that organised. So okay, so I'll tell you where I am with my other whips. So I don't know if you'll remember this, because this was a kit that I got from a magazine. Well, not a kit, this was a pattern I found in a magazine that I liked, an Emma Condom one called Key to My Heart, I think it's called. I haven't done anything on it because the main colour, grey, I couldn't get hold of. So this was the pattern, quite minimalist, Emma Condom Design, what's it called, typographical design. So I was originally just going to do it as it says in grey linen, and I was going to just use the colours suggested, but actually I don't know if you'll remember that I had there's a type of thread that I bought at a knitting and stitching show about a year ago, and many of you had heard of it but hadn't necessarily used it for cross stitch. It was like it wasn't a silk thread, it was kind of a false silk thread, de Havilland or something, and they come in variegated colours, but I didn't really know what to do with them. I actually decided I was going to try it out on this design, so I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but it's a blue and pink colour, and you won't be able to see much at the moment, but I will. The kind of gaps are, that says lasting, the gaps are where I'll fill in with white for the writing, but I decided to use that, and I'm actually just enjoying the process of watching it come together. I've kind of got a feeling I'm not going to fall in love with this kit actually. I kind of it's not one of the patterns I look at and I think, oh wow, you know, but it's something that I liked when I saw it, and I thought, well, I've got some thread that I can use and see how it goes. So we'll see how it goes, we'll see how it turns out, and it might be one that I give away as a present, but it was interesting to use the thread. The thread, I don't know if you'll be able to really see on here, but it really sort of frays at the end, and it's very kind of fluffy, so basically it's quite hard to work with, it's quite springy, so it's not something I'd probably recommend for cross stitch going forward. It's something that I've tried to experiment with, but I'm not sure on the quality of it. It doesn't strike me as something that's particularly high quality thread, because it's not a silk thread, as I say. It's kind of, I think it's designed to look like one, but it's not actually. So yeah, so I'm not overly enamoured with the actual feel of the thread itself, but the way that it comes out on the actual pattern is lovely. I don't know if you'll be able to see, but it's got quite a satiny sheen. So working with it's a bit of a nightmare, and it's not the best quality, but actually the way that it looks at the end looks really quite nice. So we'll see where that takes me. I've also noticed that the crosses have come out very neat with it actually, so yeah. So it kind of reminds me of when you're working with metallics and you really have to persevere with it, and it's a bit of tedious doing it, but the result is worth it. So it's kind of like that with that. So that's not one that I've worked on really consistently, but it's one that I can quite easily work on in my handbag and take on the train, because it doesn't have, I do have to look at the pattern, but I don't have to constantly look at the patterns, and it's quite compact, so I can kind of take that on the train and not worry too much. So that's where I am with that. Now this one, A Good Marriage, I was doing for this Lizzie Kate, A Good Marriage. I just remind you of what it says. It says, a good marriage must be created. The little things are the big things. You're never too old to hold hands. Remember to say I love you every day. Don't go to bed angry. Say words of appreciation and gratitude. Forgive and forget. Give each other a safe place to grow. Marriage is not only marrying the right person, it is being the right partner. So I was making this for my South African friend who currently lives in Germany. It was supposed to be a wedding present because I hadn't been able to get to her wedding in the summer, and I've told her that I'm working on something, but to be honest, it's taking ages again, so I'm starting to feel slightly embarrassed. And kind of, I was feeling quite under pressure, and I thought, well, she's not going to chase me up for the present, so my idea is just to get it done when I can get it done, let myself off the hook a bit, but when I do get it finished, I'm going to send it over to Germany, and she's actually expecting a baby now as well, so I'm hoping that what I can do is kind of send her a present at the same time. But there's a chance she might be moving to England again, so it might be that I get to see her afterwards. But yeah, so it's kind of, I haven't actually done either very little, or I've not done any since I last saw you. That's how much I've done of it so far. What I like about Lizzie Kate is it does stitch up quite quickly, but I have to say I just haven't really focused on it. The annoying thing is this piece of fabric is so big, I probably need to cut it down, but I just haven't got the energy to do that. So I tend to avoid working on it just because it's a bit fiddly and awkward, and I have to kind of really be at home and be able to sort of shuffle myself around to work on it. But it's something that I might work on later today, because I've told myself that I will be doing some stitching to get myself back in the mood and to distract myself from sorry, just checking my phone, distract myself from thinking about the fact that it's work tomorrow, and I really don't want to go to work tomorrow. So and then the other one that I would say is a whip. I'm not sure if I showed you this that much. It's called Santa's Nap. It was a kit that I found on Amazon in the sale. I can't remember quite how much it was. It's done on 18 count. And it was, I mean, I love everything. I'm actually not one for off-the-shelf kit designs anymore particularly, but I love everything Gold Collection do, and I think because of the level of detail that they go into, and the fact that they're on 18 count, I really like their designs, particularly their Christmas ones, but I'd never seen this before. So this was with Gold Collection, I tend to find, especially if you go to the knitting and stitching shows, which we'll come on to because I've just got back from one yesterday, you tend to see the same kind of ones come up, and it was interesting because I'd never seen this before, so I'm not sure if this is just not that widely available in the UK, or whether I've just happened to have missed it, but I'd never seen it, so I love that. And actually I have probably only done about 3 or 4 hours on this, because it was one that I took with me when I went to my cousin's for a crafting day, and I haven't really picked up that much since, but I'd like to try and get it done by next Christmas if I can, but we'll see. So that's how much I've done. It's his sort of mouth and his cheeks and his red nose. So there we go. But it's stitched up quite nicely, and I just like the way it looks because it's a nice small count. Everything's quite neat and tidy, and you can really see the shading. So this is one that I don't want to kind of forget about. I want to be doing this one, so we'll see. I don't have any other active whips apart from that, which is good because I've kind of got to the point where I've convinced myself it's okay to make some new starts. I do have other whips, particularly ones that were magazine projects from probably last year, and I'd stopped them because I hadn't been able to get threads for the rest of the project, and a lot of them I'd kind of got as far as I could go. So I haven't included them today just because I really haven't looked at them for months and months now. I did want to show you, I think I had shown you this before, but when it was my birthday in July, this was a kit that my mum got me. It still looks very fresh and new and neat because I haven't even so much as taken the threads out of the packet. It was a soda stitch design, and it's called Four Seasons Village. I don't know if you remember this, Four Seasons Village. And what's lovely is that you can choose to do it as one long strip or a kind of square like below. I haven't started this yet, but I would really like to. It comes with Zweigart 32 count Belfast linen flax, just like that, quite nondescript. Some really lovely bright kind of primary colours. So this is one that I'll probably start fairly soon, because I think this is going to be very similar to Frosted Pumpkin, and that it will be quite easy to kind of make a start and kind of stitch block colours in this. My instinct is telling me I would prefer to do the square version of it. I kind of like it a bit more aesthetically. I also find it very difficult to find frames without paying for a framer for this kind of direction here, this kind of design here, that long design. So we'll see. But now that I have my craft room, the idea is that I'll be doing more for myself and for my house, but I can kind of fit in there as well. So yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. So it's not a whip, but it's something that I have plans to start possibly even today. So I just thought I'd remind you of that one. So in terms of whips, that's kind of all I've really got to say with that. As I say, it's really because I haven't had the time or kind of inclination. I've kind of lost my stitchy bug bit recently, so to do much else. But the exciting thing is that it's given me some kind of scope, and I'm kind of really sick of giving myself loads of rules about stitching, because it completely backfires anyway because I don't get anything done. So what I'd like to do is just kind of give myself kind of a freedom to say, actually, if you want to work on this or work on that, just do what you want to do, and don't get bogged down in worrying about things. I just want to do what I enjoy, really. So yeah, so this year I'm going to try to make it much more about what I feel like doing rather than what I feel like I should be doing. So coming on to the Knit and Stitch show. So I went to the Knit and Stitch show, which is a twice yearly show in the UK, yesterday. It normally has I think it has a couple of hundred of stalls. It's a good day out. It tends to be a mix of dressmaking, quilting, cross stitch and knitting and crochet, so it's kind of a real mix. Really enjoyed it. I kind of felt like I was quite sensible with what I got, so I didn't go what I've done the last few shows, which is really paying off, is rather than buying sort of £40 kits, I'm actually finding things in advance in my magazines that I'd like to buy the threads and fabric for, and getting things for those, and then a few essential things as well, so that I don't come away with like 1 or 2 kits and feel like I've wasted my money. So I always come back from the shows feeling quite sort of full of new enthusiasm for projects, and also feeling like I've got my money's worth, which is good. Sorry, still got a slight cough. So let me show you what I bought. So first off, for £9 in the sale, I don't know if you'll remember, I've done another design by them before, the Historical Sampler Company, and this is Good Friends Are Like Stars. You don't have to see them to know they're there, so that's lovely. So Historical Sampler Company tend to do really good easy to stitch up projects with lots of block stitching. So sometimes when you look at them, you can think, oh, there's not, it's not that exciting, but they're really lovely kits to stitch, and you tend to make good progress on them because you're not constantly changing colours. This is exactly the example of something that I could make for somebody's present, so I'm going to possibly start that one today. So yeah, I mean, I was saying to my boyfriend today that I'd love to get to the point where, not for absolutely every single acquaintance, but maybe for main family members this Christmas, that I could have something kind of handmade for them. Again, not making any promises and not worrying too much about it, but if I could even get 3 or 4 people a nice hand cross-stitch piece. Just the feeling when I gave my cousin that Frosted Pumpkin design for Christmas, and kind of being able to give her something, you know, that I'd worked really hard on and that was, you know, really creative. It really felt better than just buying rubbish from the shops. So I'd like to kind of keep that pattern, even if at the very minimum the thing is that every Christmas I give one hand stitched picture. I'd be really happy with that, so we'll see. So I got that. I also went to a really good stall called Sue Hawkins. She's somebody that I kind of come across, and I don't tend to buy much from her, but she's got these really, so this time she had these really nice bamboo thread holders that come with like a little, so I've got those. These come in really handy for me for the projects that I do, and they come with kind of stickers at the back so you can put the DMC colours on them, so using these for projects. I also, yes, I got those. I also got some, sorry, I'm just realising that I've actually got quite a lot of I'm missing a couple of other things that I think I'll have to not show you because I can't find them, but I got a couple of magnetic needle holders, which was really cool. I got these just size 26 and 28 John James needles. These are my favourite. These are the ones that work for me, so just essentials really. And then I've got this really lovely walnut thread holder as well. It's really basic looking, but it's, to me, it's just a really nice product. And then I got this really nice bag, and it was only £5 of nice colours. These are kind of random selection of end of reels, but there's actually a really good amount of each colour in here, and they're lovely rich colours. I don't know what brand they are. They don't look like, they don't feel like DMC actually. I think they're another make, but they're just really nice colours that you can use for projects where exact colour matches aren't essential. So that's something that this is the kind of thing I like to do when I go to the shows, because I feel like I'm getting my money's worth there. So I'm sure those are the kind of things that come Christmas time or birthdays I can make up cards or just use for projects. 1 second. Then I got this, which is an American pattern. There's a stall that I absolutely love, and I can never remember the name of it, but it's a really lovely kind of couple that do the knit and stitch shows, and they specialise in all of these American patterns, so things like Lizzie Kate, Prairie Schooler, Sue Hillis Design, so things that are normally quite difficult to get in the UK, so I usually stock up. So this is, these are a few of my favourite things. It was £6.95. It's a lovely sugary pink colour with whites. What's confused me is like, these sort of white dots here look like some kind of French knots on the front, but when you go into the pattern, they're not actually there. So I don't know whether that's just a bit of artistic license at the front cover. But yeah, this is really nice. It's not necessarily something I'll do straight away, but I can see that would be pretty easy to stitch up for Christmas time. So there you go, and it also has some suggestions down the side for things that you can do, and kind of mini coasters and pictures and stuff and gift tags. So yes, I was really pleased with that. As usual, I got some thread, some fabric packs. I won't get this one out because it's not very exciting, but for about £8 you can get these kind of offcuts of Ada and Even Weave. And to be honest, when I do magazine projects that I'm not overly precious about, these are really good, because most of the time the scraps that they have in here are big enough for those projects, and you save money rather than getting their big kind of fat quarters or whatever they are of fabric that is really too much for what I need. So they're not the best quality, but they're fine for most projects that I do. So this was just a kind of neutral pack that I got with a few random bits in. I also got another pack with a lot of different ones in as well, and lots of different colours. Again, you obviously don't know the thread count, but you can kind of try and work it out. So this is kind of a sort of quite coarse white even weave, another kind of scrap, this cute even weave with like printed teddy bears on it, which maybe could be used for a new baby card or something like that. This is like a kind of very dark gold kind of even weave there, maybe for Christmas projects. The lighting's not really working on that. This is like a stormy green offcut. It's not that big, but it could be used for something. Like a nice light blue cloud design. It's really not doing it justice in this light. The lighting here is terrible at the moment because it's really raining outside, so it's gone like kind of really dark. Really dark. This is like a purple kind of tie-dyed looking one. This is a lovely pink one of the same kind. So I do lots of kind of these cloudy ones, and this is like a pink, sort of pastel pink colour. Kind of camel coloured one. This is a light kind of pale lime green one. Some black even weave there. Some really nice, quite expensive. I'm sure it's not expensive because this place does quite budget stuff. But this is like a really lovely kind of goldy neutral linen, which is really nice. It's really not doing it justice here, which is such a shame. But it's quite a kind of it's something you can imagine maybe doing a mirabilia on. Or a Christmas design, so I'm going to kind of keep this on hold. I actually think it might be, if you look back at this, it might be quite a good match for that, so I might use it for that. And then we have kind of quite a coarse linen, which is, I'd say, a creamy yellow colour. It's quite thin though, it's I'm not sure what I'd be able to use that for, but it's quite a nice thing. And then we've got a couple of offcuts of this kind of cream and white even weave, so it's really good. I've got another piece that I'm going to show you in a minute because I've kind of got my eye on it for a project I'm going to start today. So I'll actually do that. I'm just going to, for that annoying thing of putting it back in the packet now, because otherwise after I do my videos it takes forever. Okay, and I also got lots of threads for 3 main magazine projects that I want to do. So let me show you the magazine projects first, and then I'll show you them first, and then I can show you some of the colours that I've got. So first of all, I wanted to do this. This is in Ultimate Cross Stitch Home, which I've shown you before. And this is a design by Jane Henderson, and it's a really nice, it's a Blackberry Crumble kind of recipe cross stitch. No, then it's got like a recipe book and jam jar. So I've kind of, I don't know who yet, but I'm thinking my mother-in-law. I think it's quite a nice little kind of design for her. She might be moving house this year, so I thought she could put it in her kitchen. There we go. So that was, it's actually not my usual taste, it's a bit country cottage for me, but I actually really liked it. So that's one of the projects. One of the other ones that I've got threads for is Strawberries and Cream by Emma Condon. This one here, which I've had my eye on for ages, and like every time I flick through my magazines looking for a new project, I think I'm going to start this, and then I never do. Again, quite summery. I can imagine that being in the kitchen, nice blue frame. So that's one of the ones. And then finally, the one that I really like, which I'm hoping to start today, is, let me just see if I can find it. Takes me a while to navigate my phone. I should probably be more organised and stuff like this. Okay, so you'll put, this isn't a great picture, but this is a pattern from Cross Stitch Crazy, and it's by Leslie Tia, whose designs I really like, and it's a teddy bear picnic one. There you go, and I just really like it. It's just something about it I really like. So with that one in mind, one of these scrap fabrics that I found in my kit is actually a really nice quality even weave, which is printed, sort of dyed with kind of a pink, if I double it up a bit you might be able to see it, because it's like a pink, oh that doesn't do it justice, it's like a sugary, slightly dark, powdery pink colour with obviously kind of dye going through it, and I thought that the teddy bear picnic one might look really nice on this, so I'm kind of keeping that to one side for that. So those are my projects. I'll show you some of the colours. I was going to sort them out by which project they belong with, but it would take ages. So what's quite frustrating is every time I go to the knitting and stitching show, there's a really good stall where they have all of the threads. Oh, in theory they have all of the threads because they have one of those big DMC stands, but they don't have absolutely everything, and there's certain colours like the red 321 which I can never find. So what I usually do is I pick out a few magazine projects, I go and get the fabric, I pick up the threads that I can find at that stall because he offers a really good price for them, and then rather than go out and straight away buying the rest of the threads, I kind of work with what I have for the meantime. Because I know what I'm like, it takes me so long to do projects that actually it doesn't really make sense for me to spend the money now on those threads that I need. I'd be better off trying to kind of make the most of what I've got. So this is a completely random selection of threads, but bear in mind that these relate to the 3 projects I just showed you. So 352, again, not a great colour on this thing. 3822. 742, 3705, lovely that hot pink kind of colour, 353. I almost feel like it's not worth showing you these colours actually because the light is so bad, but let me show you and then you'll know the colours for yourself probably. But I have 3713, which is a very light pink, 155, which is actually, this is coming up far more blue on the screen, but it's actually a very lavendery purple colour. Lovely colour, love this one. 995, really sort of peacocky blue. 3766, which is like a kind of pastel blue. It's funny how some of them come up quite true to colour and others just look completely different. 3046, which is kind of a beige colour there. 936 is a dark green. 907, limey green colour. 166, another kind of light green colour. 3689, pink, like a baby pink that is. 471, another green. Not seem to have got lots of greens this time. 470, very similar colour to 471. 738, which is sort of a mink colour. 747, baby blue kind of colour. 3747, which is very light, kind of sugary purple colour. 996, nice bright blue. 3806, again nice kind of, this is like a colour of a pink sweet, this one. Bubblegum I suppose. 3753, very pale blue. 3405. 611, kind of a brown muddy khaki kind of colour. 869 brown colour. 3852, which is like a mustardy brown. 792, nice kind of inky purple. 407, a kind of classic muted rose sort of colour. 3045, I think I've shown you this, so I think I've got more than one of this so far. Really sort of hot pink colour, 3805. 413, which is grey, really grey blue. 580, which is green. And finally I've got 3765, which is a blue. So it was a bit annoying because actually I probably got about half only of the colours that I needed this year. Like usually I do a bit better than that, all of them together. But that will keep me going. I don't want to be greedy because actually I've got loads to kind of start that off with. So I'm not going to worry too much at the moment. Okay, so trying to think. I was going to show you some other stuff as well, just to finish off, and then we'll do the tag as best as I can. So just wanted to show you, I got this book for Christmas, Supersized Stitches, which is kind of tapestry style stitching. It isn't usually my thing, and to be honest, I'm not going to flick through it actually because partly because of time, because I've actually realised I need to, it's getting the evening time, I need to start getting ready for work soon. But yeah, they've got some cool projects in here. It's not kind of necessarily something that I would look at all the time, but there's some, I mean, I like these typographic cushions here, so I don't particularly like working with woolly threads, but I'm going to give it a go. Let me know what you think about this. Okay, so I've got Ultimate Cross Stitch Flowers, which was one of these new compilation ones that you get kind of through the special websites every now and again. As usual, I'll leave out my moan too much, but you know, obviously there's lots of repetition of things that already have appeared in lots of other magazines. But let me show you the things that I did really like. So this is a design by Amanda Gregory, and it's kind of like almost like a gardener's scrapbook kind of design. I thought that was really nice. What else we've got? We have a design by Claire Comerford, who I haven't heard of, and this is like a kind of a blue tip with some flowers, which I thought was nice. Not much that blew me away in this, but there's a couple of projects that I wouldn't mind doing, you know, if I needed a bit of inspiration. And then this is by Susan Bates, whose stuff I normally like quite a lot actually, and this is kind of a summery window sort of scene here, very yellowy. Yeah, as I say, that there wasn't or I usually really like floral stuff, but I wasn't overly impressed with this one. But there is some nice stuff in there, and it'd be interesting if anybody else has this to let me know what you liked, what patterns you liked in there. I also find as well that I mark off patterns I like, but then if I look at them again like a year later or so, actually my opinion changes as to what ones I like. So it could be that kind of in the future I'll be more enthusiastic about it. The other one I got, I haven't actually marked it up yet, the projects I like, so I'll flick through quickly and show you a couple, is 365 cross stitch designs. This is the 2017 version. They do this sort of January every year. Again, I don't think there was loads and loads that I absolutely loved, but I like to get them anyway. But I'm just going to see if there's any that I'd like to pick out for you. It may very well be that there isn't much. This is a design I kind of come back to, and when I look at it I think, is it anything special? But then I kind of feel like I'll do it at some point. This is another Susan Bates design. The field of flowers. It's quite nice. I mean, it's kind of quite middle of the road. It's a little bit nondescript, but I do, you know, I do like it. See if there's anything else. This I thought was quite fun. Not that I have my own picnic equipment or anything, but there's these kind of picnic designs, and that's by Susan Bates again. So obviously a pattern. That's quite nice again, Susan Bates. I was not deliberately doing this, but this is like a lovely kind of bike with lots of flowers. I'm coming up to an hour soon, so it might cut me off. Might get a sudden break in the video. Yeah, that's kind of it there. I wasn't overly chuffed with this one, I had to say, but again, 365 Cross-Stitch Designs, I always get these ones. It's worth it, even if you get 2 or 3 patterns that you like, it's worth it really. So that's all the kind of show and tell type stuff. So I'm going to move on, bear with me, I'm just going to actually put it down on my phone, which is, I know, very weird for when I'm making a Flosstube video, but I'm really tired today, and I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm just so tired, so I thought I would lay down and look at these. So I'm going to look at Jessie Marie's video where she mentions the Flosstube community healing review tag, and she's written down the questions, but I am going to start with her last few questions, so 30 through to 50, so 31 through to 50. If I don't know how to answer them, it's probably because I'm really tired, so I will do my best, but there might be a few that I just can't think of on the spot. But I thought this was a really fun and really well thought out tag, so even though I'm very late in the day, I wanted to kind of come in on it. So what did I learn this year? I suppose if in terms of kind of cross stitch, I think one of the important lessons I learned is that although it's nice to do things for people, I'd always be somebody, I think you get stitchers that do things for themselves and stitchers that do for others. I have always been a stitcher that prefers making presents for other people, but what I would say is you don't have to put all that pressure on yourself all the time. I think what I've learned is that I can make a present, but it can be a bit of an open-ended present. It can be something that I intend to give as a present at another time, but I don't have to say this year I must give this thing to this person for their birthday. That just seems to backfire for me. So I've learned that I can kind of still stitch for other people, but maybe loosen up on the deadlines and actually make it more likely that I'll get things done. What did you teach someone this year? I think I don't know that I've taught anybody that much about cross stitch. I'm not a kind of expert stitcher that really experiments with lots of stuff, but I think I've taught my mum a few things in terms of maybe veering away from kits and looking at magazine projects and things that, you know, so she started herself to look at magazines and kind of kit together some projects that before she used to just get the ready-made kits. So I'd like to think I've had some kind of influence there, but truth be told, I don't really teach anybody anything crafty, so it's a bit difficult to answer. Did you become real-life friends with any stitchers you only knew via social media previously? I'm sad to say I didn't. I think what it is I love meeting people online, but I've also I think I'm so bad at keeping in contact online because of how busy I get, and it's nothing personal, but you know from the fact that I don't really tend to reply to things very quickly or at all, which is not any dismissiveness of how much support I feel really grateful for getting. It's just that I'm so bad at remembering to do it. So I think that I would probably be a bit of a bad real life friend, but it would be interesting. What I am kind of thinking is maybe in this year it would be nice to have a look at some UK based stitching meetups and see if there's anybody I can kind of get in contact with through Flosstube and do some kind of more face-to-face stuff, but I haven't really thought about that too much. But oh, that's really weird. Cortana thought that I was talking to her, but I wasn't. 1 second. Okay, then there was, are you happy with what you accomplished this year? I think I am actually. As I say, I'm terrible at remembering, but I think I've had about 3, maybe 4 finishes this year, which is, you know, however slow I feel I am, they've been finishes that I've been really proud of, and the 2 that obviously stick out that I can remember are the one that I did for my cousin for Christmas and the one that I did for my sister-in-law for her birthday, and both of those I really felt really proud to have finished. So yeah, I think that's kind of something to be happy about, and not putting too much pressure on myself. What were your goals for 2016, and how did they measure up to what you accomplished? I think I had very loose goals for 2016. I think I just had goals to try out new things, to get some magazine projects done or started, to be able to make some things for Christmas. So in terms of making people presents, I probably didn't do that great, but it could have been worse. It definitely could have been worse. I managed to get a couple of presents out, so I'm happy with that. Did you fall victim to fear of missing out? Were there any projects that you would pass on starting if you were given the chance to go back in time and do all over? I think because I'm kind of don't tend to look as often as other people at the online stuff, I probably don't get FOMO as much as other people. I guess sometimes I feel a bit like that with stitch alongs in Stitch Mania, and that if I put more effort into kind of organising myself, I sort of feel like I could do at least one of the stitch alongs, and it would be a really nice thing to do. So I'm not going to rule that out. I'd like to kind of have a think about whether I could do one in the new year. We are in the new year. This year at some point, because sometimes I feel a bit left out when I see people's progress updates. But I don't tend to kind of compare too much to other people. I'm quite casual about my stitching, so I'm quite happy to do whatever comes along. Did I participate in any stitch alongs? So that's an easy one. No, I didn't, I'm afraid. What did I learn about myself through my stitching this year? I think I learned that I can persevere. I think in other years, what I've noticed about projects that I've wanted to do for people is they really have taken absolutely ages, and I've not shown the commitment to them. I think something changed this year in terms of how much regular commitment I gave to some projects that ordinarily would have had huge gaps of time in between. So although I didn't achieve an awful lot, I do feel that I've got better at kind of persevering with projects and trying to get them finished, and I learned that I'm capable of doing that, so I was really proud of that. What was your favourite event that you participated in this year? Well, I didn't participate, unfortunately, but obviously the stitching shows are sort of face-to-face events that I go to, that I participate in and that I attend, and I go and I find new things. So yeah, so it may be that. I'm realising that because I'm not a very good online community person, I've missed out on some stuff. This survey's reminding me of that. Were there any 2016 stitching fads that you didn't jump on the bandwagon for, but you're still considering? I didn't really notice any fads. I wouldn't really call things fads. I mean, I did notice that there was things that didn't particularly appeal to me. Things like I don't know if it's Prairie Schooler, but those ones where you get lots of collections, you get like the January, February, March ones. Not the stitch alongs, but the ones where you can get, like, I don't know, it might be a picture of a cottage or something, and you get one for every month, and people tend to collect the whole patterns and do them, and they seem really popular, but they're just not my kind of thing, really. I quite like the idea of the what Stash Queen did in her video around the frosted pumpkin kind of stitch along, kind of journey around the world piece that she did. I thought that was really cool. In terms of things like, you know, the kind of cottage of the month and stuff like that, I don't really like what they call those primitive designs very much, and that's, yeah, I'd probably say that actually. I'd say the primitive designs are very popular online, I've noticed, but they're not really my thing. But yeah, there's not a criticism, they're just not my kind of thing, really. So 2017, what project are you most looking forward to starting? I think for now my teddy bears picnic on my fabric that I showed you, because it's something that I think will be a really interesting project, and it will be my kind of one of the first times experimenting on a fabric that wasn't prescribed, you know, so I've changed up what should be a white even weave for something completely colourful, so that will be really cool to try and do that. What project are you most looking forward to finishing? I am looking forward to finishing the Good Marriage one, because it's not, although I do love Lizzie Kate's, it's actually not something that I'm particularly... Hello everybody, sorry, I knew I'd get cut off because we got to an hour. So if you missed that, it was what project am I most looking forward to finishing, and I was saying that I would like to finish the Lizzie Kate A Good Marriage, purely because I've kind of lost enthusiasm for it before I've even really got that into it. I think I love Lizzie Kate, but they do get a little bit monotonous, because if you get used to the pattern and you get used to the kind of colours that are used, and I don't know, it's not one that I'm really excited about, but I'd like to get it done for my friends, so I guess that one really. Do you intend to be more determined or laid back in your stitching in the coming year? Well, I've probably gone full circle in that I always thought that the thing would be, oh, I'd like to be more determined and more structured, but actually I guess what I've been saying is I'd actually like to be more laid back. I'd like to kind of be okay with not having rules, and you know, because I don't really have a lot of rules around my stitching, but I always feel, compared to people online and people in the Flosstube community, that I should be really structured. But I've actually would quite like to have a bit more of give and take, and not worry so much about deadlines, and focus on what I enjoy and not what I feel I have to do, because sometimes I make my cross stitch into another job, and that's not a good way to approach a hobby. So I think actually more laid back. What event am I most looking forward to participating in? Well, as I say, I don't really tend to get involved with stitch-alongs, but I would really like to push myself on that, and perhaps do some kind of stitch-along this year. So I guess leave that thought with me. I might check out Stitch Mania's list and see what I think I could realistically be involved with. So wait and see. What are your stitchy resolutions for next year? So I'm guessing this is for this year. My resolutions are really, as I said, not to get too bogged down in deadlines, to try to find some projects that are just for me. So I tend to, as I say, to do everything for other people, but because I've got my craft room coming up, and I'd like to take a more relaxed approach, so I'd like to do some stuff that actually is just for the pleasure of it, for just things that are around my house and things that I'd like to do. I think they're my main resolutions really. Will I be participating in any stitch-alongs? We've kind of covered that, so maybe I'll see how it goes. Are there any material, stitches or techniques you'd like to try in the new year? I think I'd like to get a little bit, I definitely want to finally do French knots, because I've never actually even bothered trying them. They kind of scare me a bit. I'd like to do French knots. I'd like to learn. I'd like to get to the point in one of my Mirabilias where I can actually do some bead work. I've got the Royal Holiday kit that I started for my mum a couple of years ago, that I might stand a chance of finishing this year, or at least getting to the point where I can do some of the beading work. So that would be a new and interesting thing to try. And I guess the third thing is I'd like to try some of the embroidery stitches. There's quite a lot of embroidery stitches that used to really scare me, but occasionally they creep into cross stitch, and I actually think, do you know what, I wouldn't mind trying them. So yeah, I'll see. I'd quite like to try the Lazy Daisy stitch. I've seen that on a couple of kits and thought, actually, if I could get my head around that, that's a really pretty technique. So we'll see. What was the best, so this is non-stitching related, what was the best thing that happened to you this year? I think, getting serious for a minute, I think the best thing that happened to me this year is I let go of quite a lot of unhelpful patterns which were really pulling me down. There's a few things I've tried to change, very subtle things that to other people would not be noticeable, but in terms of how I communicate, I've tried to be a little bit more assertive with how I communicate, and I'm noticing that that's helping me in small ways, particularly things like work. I made a conscious effort to say to myself that at the beginning of 2017 I needed a change in terms of where I was working, which I'm in the middle of now, and it feels really scary, but I'm really hoping the risk pays off. I've kind of got this feeling that this time next year I might be in a bit of a better place in terms of more calm, more stable, more work-life balance, less panicking, less anxiety. I know that work is a huge aspect of why I feel anxious and depressed sometimes, and it's not anyone in particular I'm blaming, but it's just how things feel in the role that I do, mixed with the personality that I have. It just doesn't work, and I think I've been ignoring that for quite a long time. So I think it's a really good thing that this year there's been some really positive change, and some changes that have been really good in terms of family dynamics that I've avoided getting so sucked into this year, that in other years I've definitely ended up making myself quite unwell worrying about them, and I've got better at understanding when things are and aren't my responsibility to sort out. So yeah, so that's something that I'm really pleased has a shift that I feel really pleased that's happened. And then what are my resolutions for this year? So in terms of general resolutions, I think a continuation of the same theme. So I want to keep working on, I'm a big believer in self-development in lots of different ways, but in terms of making changes, and I've really tried this year to make some, and I'd like to continue that. So I think just continuing to make an effort to be more assertive, to enjoy the change of job and not allow it to be another thing that stresses me out, but actually enjoy the process would be nice. I think to take more time for myself and feel less guilt about things would be really good. I don't know how realistic that is, but I'd like that to happen. And just to make more choices based around what I want and not what I think I should want, which is a really important distinction sometimes. So yeah, I think that's all I can hope for this year. I think that's ambitious enough, so we'll see. But we're in March now, and I actually feel that even since Christmas, some monumental changes have happened because of some things that have been going on the last couple of months that I actually feel have made a really big difference to quality of life and how happy I feel. So if things continue like that for the next few months, I'll be really happy. And if I can sit here at Christmas time and not be worried or upset or stressed out about some of the things that I was this year, that will just be a huge achievement for me, and that will be better than anything else I could wish for, really. So it seems a really nice place to finish there. I'm sorry it was a long video. I had a lot to say and a lot to show you, and I'm also sorry that I feel like I'm quite groggy in this video because of how I feel. I feel very tired today. But yeah, it felt like a really nice way to kind of come back into Flosstube, and I'm always very aware that I disappear for a few months and I come back, and to people that enjoy regular videos it must be quite frustrating, but I do really appreciate all of the watches that I get and all of the comments, like subscriptions, and it does mean a lot to me, and I do check up on it, so thank you very much. But until next time, who knows when that will be. Hopefully I'll be in my new job, hopefully I'll be feeling more stable, hopefully my health will start feeling a bit more up to scratch by next time I make a video. But in the meantime, really enjoy your stitching. I'll be popping up here and there on Stitch Mania, looking at your projects and reading about all of your news. Coughing fit, definitely time to go. See you soon, bye.